Live now. What's up, everybody?
Oh,
We are
okay.
live again. Dynasty Mirror, search for Uhuru. And I have the brother Nelly, not the singer, but Nelly on with us today, all the way from Poland. You need to reach out to O'Shea, Duke Jackson. He's in Poland. Uh, and today's topic is the Black Caribbean perspective on African Americans and the disconnect from Africa. Brother Nelly, where are you originally from?
Yeah, so I was born in St. Martin. That's a small island in the Caribbean, very beautiful. My mom is from Dominican Republic and my dad is from Haiti.
Oh, we did.
So
Oh, right. So you got the okay. Is your mother Dominican or she Haitian Dominican? Like was she Haitian
she's
or Dominican?
she's Dominican. She has a Dominican passport. Her mom is from Dominican Republic as well. However, she did tell me that her great grandmother comes from Haiti and they migrated from Haiti, came to the Dominican Republic, made her grandma, and then they had the Dominican passport and everything like that. So that's the history that my mom told me about her lineage from Dominican Republic. But she has a Dominican passport. My sisters have Dominican passport, and all my rest of family members from my mother's side is all of them have the Dominican citizenship.
Okay. Now what's the now how do you have earphones by chance?
Yes, I have headphones. Do you want me to
Yeah, yeah. Go
get
ahead
that?
and grab them. Let me ask this question first, then you can grab them. What was her experience as a dark skinned? I'm assuming she was dark skinned, but her being obviously
Wait,
like black. What was her experience in the
hold,
Dominican?
hold on. Let me connect my headphones
Okay, everyone, please hit that
to my
like button as
computer.
you come into the chat room. Please hit that
Um,
like button. But all right, go ahead.
Let me look for it. Okay, FDR. Okay, so my mom is not like dark complexion. She's a bit brown, a bit
Okay,
a bit your color. But in the Caribbean, we call that black still. You know, we don't call that brown or light skin or anything like that. We just call it black. Well, growing up in Dominican Republic, um, it was tough for my mom.
hmm
Can you hear me well with the
I hear you.
headphones?
I hear you fine. I hear you fine. I hear you fine.
Okay. Yeah, growing up in the Dominican Republic, it was tough for my mom. She never talked about her experience with the other people in the Dominican Republic, but she did speak about in general the discrimination against Haitians in in Dominican Republic. So even when I went, when I was 7 years old, 7, 8 years old for the first time in Dominican Republic with my mom, everyone treated me like I was like this prince from this nice island of St. Martin because back where she brought me by her village in the Dominican Republic, a lot of people were not that educated about the size of St. Martin or other countries around the Caribbean or even around the world. So they treated me like I came from this big, nice island, and uh, yeah, I was popular. And until I told them that my dad came from Haiti, then they started to tease me. So it's a bit, there's a lot of discrimination and resentment for the Haitians, and I know why. I know exactly
Why?
why. So,
Why?
well, of course, Haiti is the first Black republic, and when they defeated the colonial powers to get their freedom, they went and helped Dominican Republic. They went and helped the slaves on the other side to free them. And when they did that, Haiti united the entire country as one country, and they started to impose their rules of, okay, now it's going to be one language. You have to start speaking this language, and it created sort of a resentment and a hatred towards the dominance that Haiti had. And of course, the Dominicans, they're actually black people that have lineage with Europeans because of rape and you know the what happened during slavery.
Right.
Maybe some of it was consensual, but yeah, but the whole the foundation of it is that the interactions between the Spanish people and the French people in Saint Domingue, in Hispaniola, the name that it was originally was that the French slave owners were raping the women, and the Spanish slave owners were raping the women on the other side of the island. It's just that the Haitians defeated their colonizers, you know. So it's a bit complicated. And after that situation where the Dominicans took back their side of the island, and they had an establishment that okay, Haiti would rule over Haiti, and Dominicans would be in Dominicans. A long period of that resentment stayed there, and then there was this dictator. I think his name was Trujillo. He was partly Haitian. He was a dictator of Dominican Republic, and he hated his Haitian side so much that he massacred 10,000 Haitians in Dominican Republic. So he looked for anyone with dark complexions, and he went on this rampage of killing anyone with a dark complexion, regardless if they were Dominican, if they were Haitian. And he did this by the way how the Haitian people would pronounce certain Spanish words because of Creole and the way how they speak Spanish. You could tell if someone was actually a Haitian or if they pronounced it if they didn't pronounce Spanish words really well, and that impacted the education of Dominicans as well. So when 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 he was in power, he implemented education surrounding the purity of whiteness, loving European culture, loving Spanish culture, and not really highlighting how important African ancestry was to Dominican Republic.
All right, cool. What I don't know where this feedback is coming from.
Yeah.
Hello, hello, hello. Hold on one second. Hello, hello. That's just it's just odd. It's just a lot of feedback. Guys, do you hear a echo in the chat room? Press one if you hear an echo, and also hit that like button as you come in. So, real quick now, let's go ahead and jump to the Black Caribbean's perspective on African Americans. Like
Yes.
what's because I know Black Caribbeans, everybody's
Yes.
pressing. Black Caribbeans have, for the most part, somewhat integrated into Black American society, I guess, easier than I would say Africans. And when I mean integrate, because I mean that term Black community, like there's really no Black community. I mean, you know, but that's a whole nother show. But how do Black Caribbeans feel about Black Americans?
Well, personally, I want to speak about my perspective because I don't want to generalize every Caribbean person. However, I think there's a disconnect with Black Americans pertaining to the education of knowing about who we are as Caribbean people, how diverse we are. So we know about American culture, we know about your struggle from slavery towards Jim Crow, towards your fight for equality, and every one of your leaders from Malcolm King, Martin Luther King to Malcolm X to Minister Farrakhan. We know about all of this, and the reason why we know about it because America is one of the best marketing countries in the world, and you guys have a big brand. However, we do take the time to watch your movies. We do take the time to read about your scholars, and we do take the time to know about the differences between, let's say, a Southern Black person and a Black person from New York, or a Black person from LA, and we understand the different ways you guys talk and interact. But however, do you guys understand our culture? Do you guys understand excluding the music, do you guys understand our struggle? You know, do you understand our scholars and our philosophy of life? You know, so that's why I find we have a disconnect, and that's why we can't come together as a people to work in solidarity to overcome our struggles with colonization still being present in our life right now.
Now, so can you tell us a little bit about this? It's just for some reason the echo starts when I start speaking, but as I go, it's fine. Can you tell us about your or the island you're from? Can you give us just some insight on the struggle that you guys went through?
Um.
I like the
Okay. So, what did you say?
or in the history.
Yeah. So basically, St. Martin is divided in two parts. We have the Dutch side and we have the French side. So it's like the Dominican Republic. We're the same people, but we were colonized by two different European settlers, so the Dutch and the French. And we have this kind of relationship with France, where we are part of France, and we have this
Till this
relationship
day,
that, what did you say?
till this day, you're part of France.
The French side is part of France, I believe, if if I got everything correct about Saint Martin. Yes, it's still a French territory. The Dutch side, however, has a status of independence or apartheid away from what used to be the Netherlands Antilles, which were five small islands: Saba, St. Eustatius, St. Martin, Aruba, Curacao. So we were part of the Netherlands Antilles, and we asked to have our independence, and we're part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. However, we
If
have this status of
you're part of the kingdom, you really don't have your independence, I would think.
exactly. So that's where it's like kind of complicated. That's where it's kind of complicated, and I think we have been fighting to be independent for a very long time, and we want this status away from the Dutch kingdom. So we want to be able to rule and govern on our own, but I don't think we can govern on our own. I don't think that we can go on our own in our current condition.
Why?
Well, we don't have the resource. We're based. Our economy is based on tourism. That's our
Oh,
only income, and we don't have the expertise. We don't have the expertise to grow our economy, and to evolve our economy from being dependent on basically tourism.
I mean that's
So yeah, so that's
unfortunate.
basically St. Martin in a nutshell. And of course, we have um, foreign investors that owns like lands that are private, that are for hotels and for beaches, and it's becoming more well known for these hotels and these corporations to own our beaches and to have these very nice locations on the island, while the people of the island, they don't have that ownership of that land and that property. But basically, mostly it's because maybe the older generation of St. Martin sold their land and didn't keep their land for their kids to come in the future.
So somebody keeps asking, explain how Black Americans are becoming white. Like, do you feel like Black Americans are becoming white? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Man, I don't think Black Americans are becoming white. I just think there's a confusion with America because what is an American? Because in America, you guys have indigenous people that the land was stolen from. and then you have black people that was enslaved, and you guys have been mistreated up until now. So the mistreatment has never stopped. Then you have also Europeans that emigrated to America in like the 20s, 30s, and they became Americans. First, they were discriminated, whether they were Italians or if they were from Ireland, if they were Irish, and then after they became American citizens. So it's so confusing in America to say who is an American, who is becoming white, who's becoming black, because black culture is number one. It's trending. It's always been trending. It's always been the number one culture in America. So I really don't understand the dynamics of America and how you guys live in that country together. Like it's so confusing when you look from it from the outside.
Where do you think African Americans fit in America? Where do you think Black Americans fit in?
Um, I don't know. Like I think it's a class system in America, and of course, the number one class are white people. If
Mhm.
you're white, you automatically are first class. And then number two, you have maybe the Asians because they're the closest skin tone to white. And then at the bottom and at number three, number four, then you have maybe Arabs, then Hispanics, which is not a term that I like to call because you don't know who's Hispanic. You don't know if it's Spanish people from Spain. You don't know if it's Latin American people who are indigenous from Latin America, but you don't know if they're Afro Latino, you know? So it's like so confusing, that term Hispanic, right? So I just feel like Black Americans are like at the bottom in that class. However, you do have some Black Americans that are successful, but it's not enough, right?
No, you're right. Let's see.
And how do you feel?
My name is Jay. Said the Caribbean is divided with foolish island rivalry. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true. Okay, I'm gonna be really authentic,
Please,
and
we
I'm
want
gonna
you,
talk about the Caribbean. Ah,
we want you to please.
all right. So
Let me.
the
Are you your earphones? Are you speaking into the mic of your earphones? Like,
yeah, can you hear me?
okay, I hear you. I hear it's just an echo. I just don't know whose end is on. But go ahead.
All right. So with the Caribbean, this is not to say that this is every single Caribbean person, but in general, I think our mind frame is limited, and what we see as important is more related towards, I don't know, more towards maybe competition towards who got the best waistline, who got the best language, or who got the best island. But I don't see much mind frame on unity and building as a people and reconnecting to Africa and seeing how important we can be if we are connected to Africa, and also if we are connected to our brothers and sisters in Latin America, and also connected to our brothers and sisters in America, and how we can grow our culture and how we can grow our societies and how we can grow our economics. I don't think we're using our resources and our opportunities right now in 2019 with the internet, right? Like we have so much opportunity for us to become one nation, but we're so divided and doing so much things that are not important. So that rivalry that we have in the Caribbean with which flag is better or which language is better or which music is better is like irrelevant, right? It's just small little topics that you can have together with your family members and with your friends or something like that. But the bigger picture is for us to be united, which is not a conversation that is happening at all.
Mhm. Why did the older the island you're from? Why did the older generation sell their land?
Can you repeat that question again?
The older generation. You mentioned that the older generation they were selling their land. Why? Why is that?
Because of money, because back then, when you're being presented with maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars or guilders, let's say, because I really don't know that the history 100%. So I'm going to just talk about what I heard of when I was living in St. Martin is that St. Martin people own the majority of the island, right?
Mhm.
And and then we had an influx of Indians that came to St. Martin that bought the best parts of the island, which is Phillipsburg. And now, if you go into Phillipsburg, you'll see that almost all of these stores, all of these properties are owned by Indians, Indians from India.
Mhm.
So 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 yeah, so that's what happened, and now the Indians, their children are reaping the benefits of that purchase. Now they can pass that business, they can pass that property to their kids, and now they're Samartaners, you know. So there are long lines of generations of Indians that came from India, and their children are born here, and their children's are born here. So right now they have the Dutch passport, and and they're Samartaners now. So it's the same as if someone comes to our island and they say, "Oh, I'm from St. Martin," and they say, "Oh, I'm Samartan."
Hello, hello. Ah, did we lose the brother?
Hello.
I hear you now. Go ahead. I hear you now. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's what I'm basically trying to explain. That even though that they sold their land to the Indians have become Samartaners now.
And you're saying that they get a Dutch passport as well?
Well, when you're born in St. Martin, the the law requires that when you reach 16 years of age or 17 years of age and you live there all your life, you become a Dutch citizen.
Really?
But you have to naturalize. But you have to naturalize. So you have to go through a process where you do a test to to make sure that you are a Dutch citizen and to make sure that you have been living there for 17, 16 years to make sure that you can speak the Dutch language as well. So if your lineage is from St. Martin, you're automatically a Dutch citizen. But if your parents come from, let's say, Dominican Republic and Haiti, then you would have your parents' nationality. So I became naturalized in St. Martin. I never had a Dutch passport until I did the test.
Has St. Martin recovered from the hurricane?
Has it recovered from the hurricane?
Yes.
No, it has not recovered from the hurricane. There's so much to do. There's a lot of um, there's a lot of, I don't know how you call it, political games being played with the budget that is supposed to be given to St. Martin from the World Bank. However, we have not used that money at all due to requirements that we have to fulfill. And yeah, our politicians are facing issues. There's a lot of internal problems within our islands with our politicians as well. So that's where it all comes back to unity, where also as a people we can't cooperate to work together to make sure that we can recover from certain disasters. So we have not recovered, and we need help. We still need awareness about the destruction that happened. We need jobs, and we need expertise, real expertise that can actually help the common St. Martin person and not the business person that has all the land and the connections and stuff like that. We really need a plan to help the common St. Martin person to take back ownership, to take back the economy of St. Martin, and to become really successful and live a happy life on the island.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
All right, sorry about that. My son just woke up from his nap. So
Yeah, no problem. It's okay.
And if people, if you want to question, I mean, guys, let's get number one. Let's get these likes up. We have 234 people watching, only 86 likes. Please hit that like button, and then also too, um, if you have a question, I mean, I get so many questions, but if you really want your question to stand out, just hit the super chat button. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no
Sorry.
problem.
So let me ask you: do you plan? So you just recently left St. Martin for Poland? Is that correct?
No, no. I was studying in Breda University in the Netherlands, and I graduated last year. So I left the Netherlands last year, and I just came from Spain. I was in Spain 1 month ago. Well, 3 weeks ago.
So when do you plan on going back to the St. Martin? I mean, does your family own land there, any property there? Do you plan on going back to help rebuild at all?
My family doesn't own land in St. Martin. They're renters. My dad do own land in Haiti. Uh, when am I planning to go back to St. Martin? Right. So that's a very tough question for me because I want to go back and help my island, but I'm also afraid to go back and there's no jobs and I become unemployed. So I know how it sounds, right? I want to help my island. I have all these opinions, but I'm not going back with the information and the knowledge that I have. That's true. That's 100% true. And I'll face all the feedback and criticism for for that opinion. However, if I have a certain qualification and I have a certain expertise, I would like to be, rewarded for that, right? And I feel like if I return back to my island, I will not be rewarded for my expertise. I will not be rewarded for my mind frame of uniting the island and the people to become more independent and take charge of the island, and to become less dependent on tourism and more and have more varied resources around in the environment, using the sun, using the wind, and also trying to think about creative business solutions where we can, maybe start tech companies in the Caribbean or something like that, something innovative. But I believe if I come with my ideas like that, I will get a lot of resentment, pushback, and that's where my fears are returning back to my island.
So when if a Black American would want to invest in St. Martin, they would have to go through Indians.
No, I don't think they have to go through Indians. You have to go through the political structure that's set up by St. Martin, and we have our own chamber of commerce where you can go get a permit and start a business. So
Hello, brother, we lost you. Hello, brother, we lost you. Nelly. Ah, we lost the brother. Let's see here. Let's wait a minute. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the show. Can you I can't hear you. Yeah, I can't hear you. Guys, press one if you can hear Nelly. Because I can't hear her. Or press one if you can hear me at least. I don't know. Why are you pressing zero? Press one if you can hear me. You can't hear her, but can you hear me? Press one if you can hear me. Okay. Yeah, we lost your audio, Nelly. We lost your audio. Like I said, there was a lot of feedback too. There's an echo on your end. Hopefully, you can work through it. Everyone, thank you for joining. Make sure you hit that like button as you come into the chat. Uh, Nelly, you muted yourself. You got to unmute yourself. Hold on, let me see if I can unmute you. You got to unmute yourself. But guys, make sure you hit that like button as you come to the chat room. The topic is the Black Caribbean perspective on African Americans and the disconnect from Africa. And the brother Nelly, who's on with us, is from St. Martin. And Nelly, you muted yourself. You got to unmute yourself. I wish I could unmute you, but I can't because you muted yourself. Hey, my name is Jade. You want to hop on? My name is Jade. If you want to hop on, let me know. And I can send you the link if you want to hop on. Peace from St. Kitts. Peace to you, brother Iron Kong 26. Okay, I'm gonna send you the link. My name is Jade. Hey, my name is Jade. Send me an email. I got it. I got it right here. I got it right here. I got it right here. My name is Jade. Check your inbox. My name is Jade. Check your inbox. Jade, check your inbox. Also, too, if you guys are interested in the group tour, I have another one. We're doing another one in November. If you want to come on the group tour in November, send me an email. Search for Uhuru at gmail.com. Search for Uhuru at gmail.com. Send me an email if you want to come on the group tour in November. We're doing a tour next month. Hey, it's already July. We're doing a tour next month in August to Nigeria for the Oshun Festival. So we're gonna do another one in November. So my city, we're having a festival there, two festivals. So we would love for you guys to come. If you want more information, please send me an email. Send me an email. And I will get you all the information and details. So if you want to come on the tour again, send me an email and we'll go into details. But looking forward to the tour in August. It's gonna be exciting. You know, we're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun. So looking forward to it. Can't wait. My name is Jay. We are waiting on you. Oh, my name is Jay. Unmute yourself.
Good evening.
Okay, go ahead. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm okay, and you?
Good, good. You want to add to the conversation?
No, I think I probably missed a little bit of the conversation trying to get onto the link, but no, I'm just enjoying the show so far. It's just like my thing is like you see the whole region, the Caribbean region as a whole, isn't united in itself. And like I mentioned about sort of having the island rivalries, then you've got the island rivalries, then you've got the kind of colonial slash linguistic differences, and then there's rivalries within that. So you've got the English speakers that think they're better than the French speakers, and the French speakers think they're better than the Spanish and the Dutch speakers, and so on and so forth. So like there's these different layers of like issues that have been going on in the Caribbean since, let's say, the 50s and the 60s, when islands started to get their so-called independence from these different colonial states. Then you have some islands that feel that they're better. And like for me, I'll say for the island that my family hail from, Barbados, I know for a fact personally from things that I've seen, witnessed and heard that people from Barbados tend to think that they're better than everyone else in the region. And people can they can dispute that. But I've seen for myself personally that people do think this way. So there's so much in the region that it's kind of like, I find it a little bit difficult to say, like, you know, why don't Afro-Caribbeans and just like Afro-America just unite like that? Because we have enough internal issues back home. So we're not even fit and stable enough to even reach out to anybody, because there's so much issues that we need to work out internally.
So how do we fix this division? Because one thing I'm noticing too is do you think it's an inferiority complex? Because let me ask you this: in Barbados, do the Chinese are they pretty much buying up everything?
Yeah, they started to buy up stuff. It's like it's starting to happen in like gradual waves. So like the last time that I went in November, I'm seeing all these Chinese people getting off the plane while I'm getting off the plane. So I was like, okay, like this is sorry, excuse the noise. Yeah, I thought like, okay, this is starting to be the rise of like, you know, the Chinese neo-colonizing the Caribbean. I think in bigger islands, they're starting to spread out a little bit more.
Did I hear a cat in the background?
Yeah, he's having like a psycho fit. He just has his times. It's like it's dead in the night. Hold on, I'm gonna have to mute. Just give me a second.
No, you're good. Go ahead. It's just fun. I thought it was just funny. Go ahead.
So no, all you're gonna hear is a cat. He's just having a moment. But yeah, I mean they're starting to come in and buy up the place. They're, you know, doing their stupid deals with the governments. These governments are like selling out our islands for like cheap ambulances and cheap medical equipment and stuff like that. We did recently have a visit with the president of Ghana. So like he kind of went around the Caribbean and stuff trying to make deals, I think, to get some African nurses over to the Caribbean, and Bajans were opposed to that, of course, for the most part.
Why were they opposed to it?
You know why. You know why. But they're just gonna say, "Oh,
I don't know why."
No, the whole. Here's how I see it. It's the whole, because whenever Africans go to Barbados, from what I've seen, again, people can be disputing me, but there's always been an issue. So like when you get students and stuff coming over, there's been instances where students have rightfully gone over there to study, and they get held in detention. And things like, yeah, like as in, you know, like if you get held up at a border, they put you into some form of a detention.
Going into Barbados?
This happened.
Oh wow, I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Things like this have happened. It's not an often occasion, but things like this do happen. So it's like, you know, I've seen that mindset of these Africans and we're this, you know, we're not them. But then they'll kind of say like, oh, you know, oh, we have enough problems as it is here, but there's like 300,000 Bajans that can't help themselves in one island. That's how I see it.
Now, is there a nurse shortage in Barbados right now?
Not that I've heard of. I mean, I keep up with the news. I read the news like every single day. I keep up with like listening to it, the radio and stuff like that. And that's not really what I've heard. The issue is about like the money, basically, the pay. Because essentially the people are like taxed onto the brink of poverty, because really all the taxes that they pay are taxes that corporations should be paying and tourists should be paying, but they get put onto the people. So like food and things like that are super expensive. Like it's really shocking how much you have to pay for food. So like the Bajan dollar is pegged 2-to-1 with the US dollar. So like things that would be pennies here in the UK are costing you like $4 US and $8 Bajan. It doesn't make sense.
Well,
but it's because of all this.
Everything has to be imported to the island, though, right?
Not necessarily. When you have CARICOM supposed to be free trade, so you don't have to per se. Things could be lower, but yeah, people want to like import the American brand or the UK brand. So like when I was there, I stayed with my aunt and like doing sort of regular grocery shopping. I'm seeing stuff that you get here in the UK, which is like store brand, being sold over there for like brand price. So I'm seeing like biscuits, what you guys call cookies, that cost here like 36 pence, which is like maybe 50 cents, sold over there for like $6 Bajan, which is like $3 US.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh
So I
wow.
mean, there's just a lot of problems. Like we have economic issues. Then we've got our own sort of personal, I say, social issues and things like that combined that just make things very problematic in the region. And then, like Nelly was saying about if he was to go back home, kind of the issues that he would have to face there. And like that's been my thing as well. Is that I've been wanting to go home, and I'm trying to figure out how to go home, but it's not really that easy. There's just too many issues that need to get ironed out.
So for my let me ask you: is Bermuda part of CARICOM?
I think Bermuda is an observer state.
Okay, because I know my well, she's my tenant, but my roommate, she's from Bermuda, and she says everything's expensive there because they have to import everything, and there's no there's no major chain stores there. Is that the same thing in Barbados?
Bermuda's like it's like a British overseas territory, but it's not part of CARICOM, like in that sense. Like it's not like a full-fledged member. So like CARICOM would be like Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, Haiti, St. Lucia, Dominica, and kind of like I guess the more well-known islands. Then you've got kind of the observer states like Anguilla, Montserrat, and sort of all the little surrounding islands and stuff like that are either kind of like protectorate sort of countries, or they have some kind of special status, or they're just like overseas territories of European states.
So for the most part, none of these Caribbean countries truly have independence from their colonializer. You know what I mean? Yeah.
No, not really. I mean, if you go over there, like when I went back in May last year, a lot of the TV stuff is like funded, like you'll hear it's like funded by the Austrian government, funded by the European Union, funded by this, funded by that. I was quite shocked. But yeah, no, I mean, pretty much the independence is just like independence, I guess, from the let's say like Barbados's independence is just they're free from the parliament over here. But other than that, we've still got Elizabeth as the head of state, which just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense at all. What about now with Cuba? I guess shout out to police brutality. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, brother.
I can barely hear you.
Oh, okay, let me check.
Yeah, I can't. In fact, I can't hear you at all. But Cuba, I guess, will be considered free.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really too educated on Cuba. I know that Cuba isn't like a Spanish territory. Cuba, I think, from what I understand, is completely separate from Spain. But
Yeah.
I'm not really too sure on how like Cuba really functions. I just know that they do get along with kind of like the rest of the Caribbean pretty decently. They have good doctors, and they always help with medical crisis and stuff like that.
Hold on. Okay, hold on. Elizabeth Leslie Diaz, would you like to come on? Elizabeth Leslie Diaz, would you like to come on? If you want to come on, just I guess respond in the chat room, and I'll send you the link. You work for the government in St. Martin. Okay, if you want to come on, let me know. So, police brutality, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
You got to speak up a little bit louder. It's real low.
Okay, can you hear me now?
No, I can barely hear you, brother.
Okay. Let me check what's going on. One sec.
Yeah, they holding your internet back over there.
Oh, yeah.
They are holding your internet back, or your phone back. Your phone back. So Jay, what's the Jay, what's going on with the Windrush situation in the UK now? What's the updates on that?
They're doing the whole, we're sorry, here's your citizenship, be happy, yay, clap your hands, let's all be friends. But hello?
Yeah, I'm right here. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I just had a noise. Yeah, they're just basically trying to just be apologetic and whatnot. But I think people are kind of like fed up now, which is good. I guess these past few weeks, because they've been putting out a lot of like documentaries and stuff like that over the situation and kind of like the reality of it, it's given me more of an understanding. Because like growing up,
Hello. Okay, good.
oh,
Yeah,
hi.
go. Yeah, we're good. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, growing up, kind of like listening to my grandma, because she was the only one that was alive to sort of tell me
One
what it
second.
was like to migrate.
Please, child. You're breathing in the phone. Like, we hear you. Like,
Oh,
it's like
okay.
it's like you're
Sorry.
snoring in the phone. Okay, go ahead. All right, go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, just kind of growing up listening to like the stories of my grandma migrating over, like once my granddad and stuff came, and how difficult it was, and then kind of seeing like now sort of the legal. It was basically what they were doing were telling people, come over, you can get this, you'll be able to make you can make this amount of money, things will be good, and then you can go home. And that wasn't the case. So like people ended up getting, staying here because they couldn't really afford to go home, because they wouldn't rent to you at a reasonable rate, or you couldn't find a home, and there was like all kinds of problems and stuff like that. So people are kind of like seeing what it truly was and understanding like how much the government wanted to bring us here just to use us, but didn't really want to bring us here. So like they were talking about how the prime minister at the time, Clement Attlee, wanted to send Jamaicans to East Africa to pick peanuts instead of bringing them here.
Sounds about
And
right.
things like that. Yeah.
In fact, when I got off the phone with you, there's actually a documentary. I don't know if it's by the BBC. I forgot who it's by.
Is it by David Olusoga?
I don't know. That goes into detail about the Windrush situation. I want to check that out. So
yeah, check my channel, because I've just uploaded something. I think it might be the one that you're talking about, but there's a few documentaries on YouTube that you can watch about it. But yeah, I mean, for now, I think they're trying to make it die down. Like they don't really want to talk about it anymore, because obviously the UK was at fault, and the UK has a thing about trying to make themselves not appear to be racist, even though, well, the UK is basically the mother of America, so you can't separate yourself from racism. Like,
right.
It is what it is. They try to just put on this good image that everything is okay, and these people are super happy, and some people are happy to get their citizenship. I can't really say anything to that, because they've been here pretty much their whole lives, and they've had that kind of colonial education, and you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So some of them are happy with it. I can't really do too much. I know that I want to get out as quick as I can. So
well, let me ask you this: how can you be in the country for so long and not get citizenship? That's what I don't understand.
No, what it was is that, you see, like when you're younger, you don't need to have your own passport. You can travel on your parents. And back at that time, because the countries that our grandparents were coming from were still full-fledged colonies, they were part of the Commonwealth. So the law was that so long as you're part of the British Empire, you can come to England if you want. And if you had a child, your child could just travel on your passport. They didn't have to have their own one. So what would happen is the people would come here, like the parents would come here, eventually bring their children over, and then they work and they live on with their family lives as normal. Their parents end up dying, and at some point the Home Office, who's like, I guess like your version of like DHS, Department of Homeland Security, decided to take all the landing cards for the people that arrived here and destroy them. So now, when I guess I'm not really too sure on how exactly things started to flag up, but it's like when people maybe try to get hospital treatment or something about their jobs or their pensions, and it's coming up as you're an illegal immigrant, they're like, what? So then they bring like all the proof that they've been here, the passports that they had from their parents and things like that, or whatever little paperwork they did have. And then they're telling them, no, you're an illegal immigrant, we're going to arrest you. Bearing in mind that for all the times that they've been working, for every paycheck that you get, something called national insurance, which is a tax, is taken out of your salary. So they'll still take your taxes. You still pay your taxes. You put away all this money into a pension, and then it all gets taken away from you, and then you get deported.
What's going on with because somebody in the chat room says that they're allowing they're trying to kill or dead the Windrush backlash, because Britain is supposed to leave the EU with Brexit, and they want the Commonwealth back. What's going on with the Brexit, and is there any truth to that?
Well, from what I've been keeping up with, only thing that I hear about Brexit now is just with because we have a run for who's going to be the next prime minister because Theresa May stepped down. They're just talking about how much sort of regular expenses are going to cost in the country. I haven't really heard anything pertaining to like the connection between that and Windrush, but it wouldn't surprise me. They want Windrush to go away. That's just it. They don't want to even deal with it, because you think about it now, if they're out on their own, and even though we're a micro population and we still get some kind of recompense, they need to pay the European Union, I think it's like £39 billion, which is like a huge chunk of money. So they're really not trying to really have to deal with the responsibility of Windrush, because all it's going to do is end up costing them more money, rightly so.
That's I'm still so. Are you guys going to leave the EU? Because it seems like it's being delayed, as if you guys had have a choice if you want to stay or not. I was thinking you guys just got, or once you guys voted, you wanted to leave and Brexit. That's it. But it seems like you guys are.
Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, because what it is, because I think a lot of people voted from the talking points, like where they talk about, oh, the money that we won't be paying towards the EU is going to go to the National Health Service. So, because we have an issue with the quality of the service has just been going down. Like, you can't get a doctor's appointment for like a month. At best, it's really hard to see a doctor first thing, like when you need to. The quality of hospitals is going down, just the care quality of elderly people, a lot of abuse in the homes, lack of training, all sorts of issues and stuff like that go on. So, people kind of hear that and go, oh yeah, I'll vote. Just put the money into the health service, and then are just like, we don't want immigration, kick the blacks out, kick the Eastern Europeans out, kick the Indians, the Asians out. We don't want anyone else here. Kick out, we don't want no refugees and stuff like that. But then, you think about the population of sort of non-white English. If we were all to leave, then the country, to an extent, would grind to a halt. Especially London. Like, London would stop. So I think people are starting to realize it, and then they're kind of like, and then always the money factor as well, about how much it's actually going to cost, because the EU are saying, like, look, if you're going to leave, you have to pay us 39 billion. And then whether or not you get a trade deal is another thing. See, we don't know if they're going to be a trade deal.
So UK doesn't necessarily have to leave then.
Well, they kind of do now, because they're saying that you need to honor the vote. So yes, they do need to leave, but I don't think the European Union necessarily wants the UK to leave. But I mean, to be honest, I can't really speak for it. Do you know why? Because I didn't vote, because that happened like a few days before I could legally vote. So I don't really have a dog in the fight, and I don't care regardless, because it's not really doing anything for me, or like, for our people anyway. Like, it just doesn't do anything for us regardless. Like, it doesn't benefit us in any way, to be fair. So I can't really say, like, for all the points. I can't really speak for all the points.
Police brutality, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, sir. I'm here.
Okay, all right. Go ahead. I don't know if you're outside running around, or the wind, or are you just breathing hard into the mic? But
no, actually, I have a very sensitive earpiece and headphone. So
okay.
it picks any sound very quick, which is good anyway, because I had one that was not really good anyway. So the topic for today is you were talking about Caribbeans, their perspective about African Americans, and why they don't go back to Africa.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the thing is that as I've always been saying this, and I keep saying it, that our people need to break down all the bridges of, okay, you're Jamaican, oh, you're Caribbean, oh, you're African American, oh, you're from the continent. We all need to understand that we all come from the same soup. Okay, our people should try, not just try, but should unite, because we have a common enemy that's always planning for our downfall 247, 364 days every year. And the thing is that if we, I hate to say this, but a lot of our people in the diaspora are always trying to pander and beg to crack a zaddy all the time, whether it's in the UK or US or anywhere. But the fact that Where it all lies is back down in the continent. Eventually, eventually, because I've said it here on your channel that Africa is the last frontier.
Right.
No matter how much you're packing up, no matter how much you're saving, the business, everything, we should think straight to the continent because that continent still has the potential. Forget what people are saying. Oh, the Chinese are taking over, blah blah blah. Which I've seen a lot of videos people saying that, and so that's their reason that they don't go to Africa. I'm like, seriously, where are the Chinese taking over? We're just doing business with them.
So you don't think
So
so you don't think it's a Chinese takeover? 'Cause I'm pretty sure the Chinese are in Barbados. The Chinese are all over the place, but you just think it's business.
no, I think what is going on is that the Chinese are virtually everywhere on the planet. But when it comes to Africa, people are saying that the Chinese are taking over because even in Calgary here, there's a Chinatown.
In
Okay,
Cal
which I,
in Calgary.
in Calgary, Canada, there's a Chinatown. It's a very big Chinatown. These guys have bought almost all the properties in a certain part of the city. And they also control Vancouver in British Columbia in Canada. They control the retail. Like these guys are making money. Okay, so to me, it's like the government here in Canada allows them to do business because China right now is the economy of the world because everything we use is made in China. Okay, so I don't, when this it's just it's even the US. You have the Chinese influence there in the US too, and also in Australia and New Zealand, in the UK. You still have them doing businesses. They still wear their suits and carry briefcases with money. Because these guys are carrying cash all the time. Like two briefcases or three briefcases of cash doing business. But when it comes to Africa, you see a lot of people online, especially on YouTube, saying, "Oh, the Chinese are taking over Africa," and it's like these are people that haven't traveled outside their homes in the states to go to the continent and see things for themselves. Okay, I can't say anything about the Caribbean because I haven't gone to the Caribbean. I can say things about the UK because I've lived in the UK and I know about the whole, the way Brexit is. It's just the same way that they are doing for the reparations. They are making it very hard for the people of Caribbean origin that were born and grew up in the UK. Because I have a lot of them as friends. I even have a pastor friend that was born and brought up in the UK. He's part of the Windrush. Okay, so the whole thing is that the UK government is trying as much as possible to control that generation of people, and the people are not having it. They're not having that nonsense because people should understand about England as a country, the UK, the whole region. Those people there in power are always trying to have the upper hand against us, and also for the countries that they colonize in Africa and in other places. The average Englishman or English woman thinks that she's 10 times better than the average, us in Africa and those in the Caribbean, the rest. And that's not the case. And they do all this thing because I was following the Windrush and how these guys were trying to play should I say, a fast 419 on them, intend to destroy their documents and stuff and trying to put people that grew up in the UK that came from the Caribbean that were born in the UK, in issues. And that was really bad. And people, people are not falling for that bullshit anymore. Yeah, because I've lived in England and I see how these people operate. They are very, very, they laugh at you at the front, but they always have their knife off to backstab you always at the back so that when you don't know it, they turn your back, they stab you quick. So for the sister, from the UK, I understand the plight because I've lived in England. I know what it is. I used to go to a Caribbean church back then, and we used to sit down and discuss on so many issues. The fact that this is an attack everywhere. We're attacked everywhere worldwide. We live in a police state worldwide. So that's just my take.
Hey, real quick, my name is. You guys, police, if you could mute your your mic. It's too strong. It's way too. It's just too strong. My name is Jay. Are you guys having issues with are any Black Britons running around talking about they are indigenous to Britain? Do you guys get that at all? Like we do here in America?
I've seen some people say
So,
it, but like
so it's there.
that's probably like one person in a million, seriously, because most of us migrated here from like the 50s and the 60s. I think the biggest wave of migrants was like the 50s to the 60s. So you'd just be an idiot to just like say that. But it's physically not possible. You're not going to be here unless your grandparents were here, and our grandparents came like the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. So yeah, I mean, I've seen some people say it like they'll use their family name, their English family name, and then say like, "Aha, I'm from this place," and all that kind of madness. But like, it's very, very few and far between. I've seen it, but I just chalk it up to mental illness.
Now, in the UK, how like as far as the Africans, the Caribbeans, and do you guys like as far as just like how we have Black Americans, the Black, I guess, British who don't necessarily identify or know where their families came from in Africa, or I don't know, do you guys have like a Black British population as in we do like Black Americans?
Yes and no, because the Black American label and identity has been rooted in one place, whereas like Black British is like, that means that either you're from, Africa, more pertaining to Western Central Africa, and then the Caribbean. So it's not like the same thing, because the Black British identity was through migration, whereas the Black American identity was through, unfortunately, slavery, and it happening in one particular place. So it's like kind of one is solidified and one's very new, because, prior to that, we would just, I guess whatever, I just assume that we would just identify by our nationalities back home. Because there was, you know what I mean? Like there wasn't really a need to be like, if you're in Jamaica, I'm a Jamaican. Like, yeah, we know.
Right.
There wasn't a need to until we then moved. But then when we moved over here, there was just more of a sense of community and stuff like that. So that's how we were able to afford to like buy houses, even though we weren't really making any money, because we put our money together. And then, like let's say the first generation that were born here, and then I'm like second generation and third generation, then it's kind of like that Black British identity thing. But I don't really call myself that personally.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat room, D Raptor says, my daughter was born in England, and one day she told me that crap about she is British. Laugh out loud, I was livid.
Yeah, I see why. I mean, I really don't identify as that. I wasn't really brought up to like identify as British. So like when I was 5, my grandma took me to Barbados. So it wasn't like a thing where I was completely far removed from my family elsewhere. Like I knew who they were. I made sure to know that my family were from like Barbados, and then my dad's side is Jamaican. So, I always knew and like sort of had that bit of foundation, and then off that, then studying like my African identity off of there. So I've never been like kind of, I'm born in Britain, therefore I'm British. Nah, it's not for me.
Shout out to Nadupe in the chat room for the super chat. Now, Nadupe was supposed to come on in this time slot, but when I emailed her, she never responded. So now she's mad. Nadupe, don't be mad at me. You have an open door policy. You have an open invitation. Whenever you want to come on, you're more than welcome to come on. Whenever, I can fit on your schedule. Not when you can fit on my schedule, whenever I can fit on your schedule, Nadupe. So, in fact, Nadupe is looking for a husband. So, I have the fertility doll for Nadupe. So, Nadupe, we have the fertility doll right here waiting for you. So, we can, hurry up and get you pregnant and with babies, Nadupe. So exactly, the Dupe is VIP. She has her own fertility doll here. She has an open invitation whenever she wants to come on. So everybody needs to know that the Dupe is special. Yes, you are the Dupe. Here is your fertility doll, and hopefully we're gonna get you pregnant one day. Just rub the doll, kiss the doll. You will become pregnant, and you will be married soon, the Dupe. There you go. Okay. All right. Go ahead. Yeah, no, dude, I'm holding your husband.
Dynasty.
Oh
Dynasty.
man, oh man, but
Yeah, I keep saying this that because I lived in England for like 3 years and I was always observing a lot of stuff. I didn't understand why Africans and Caribbeans were always at loggerheads because we're all from the same source. So I was like wondering because I was that's why I was getting close to most of the Caribbean people, especially in the London area, and always talking to them and find out why. And they're saying that oh no, we're both different. We're not different. We're the same people, man. Like I was shaking my head, like what's really going on?
You know
So
what?
they
I
were,
think that's an old time thing. Like I think now as we're getting further and further down generations, you see people becoming more closer. But from like what I heard was like back in the day, because I think we arrived first before the first wave of West African migrants. Um, West Indian migrants just thought that they were better than and used to kind of pick on African migrants and say like, "Oh, you don't speak English properly," which is just ironic. But like I don't know, like it's just an I think it's just an older generation thing because it's to me it seems like it's kind of dying out a little bit as we get older and older. But I say that's probably because we're too similar that maybe we just don't like each other. Could be that. Because there's
no
no
the
real
fact
reason like as to why we were like that. Because I know that there was a lot of conflict and tension there, but it just it like it you know what I mean? Like there wasn't I don't think there was like a trigger as to where things had gotten bad, or maybe like I don't know when Damilola Taylor got killed, that might have made things a little bit worse. But I don't think that there was like a full-fledged reason, if that makes sense.
Yeah, a Portland girl here in the chat room says that Africans in the UK are anti-Caribbeans. They think they're better than us. I'm like, I'm not better than anyone. I'm Nigerian. I was born in the continent. I don't see myself better than because funny enough, if a Jamaican sees me and a Caribbean sees me, they think I'm Caribbean. They're like, hey, they're like, give me wagwan. What's up? I'm like, no, I'm Nigerian, but I understand what you're saying, bro. So
But I
they
think
laugh
that's
and
it
like,
as well, because I hear people do that. Like, you know how you'll say, "Oh, I'm a Jamaican" or "I'm a Nigerian." I've
yeah,
seen instances where someone be like, "Oh yeah," if you say like, if I go up to you and say, "Oh, are you Bajan?" and you go, "Oh no, I'm not Bajan, I'm Ghanaian." Some people can
oh,
get a little bit
okay.
funny about that and get like kind of offended. I've seen that before, and it's like it's not really anything. You're just stating the facts, but then it's like it kind of goes into, but we're all the same people and da da da, and there's no real reason. There
No,
just isn't a genuine reason as to why. I just think people just get really weird and like hung up and quite emotional. But I've never ever experienced like anyone being like, "Oh, you know, you're Caribbean and we're African and we're better than you." Because I worked in a Nigerian bank, so you
oh,
know,
okay.
which was
Oh,
like
cool.
96% like Yoruba.
what
Oh,
So
okay.
what Nigerian banks are in the UK? Is UBA up United Bank of Africa? Is that in they have that in the UK?
I don't think I saw UBA. You've got FBN,
Oh,
Zenith,
oh wow, okay.
Wow.
GT Bank.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah,
GT
you've
Oh,
Bank.
got you've got a few.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
GTB?
Yeah,
Damn.
you've got GTB, but the GTB here is the only one that's outside of Africa.
Wow. Jeez. Seriously?
So,
And I'm
so you
using
get what I'm saying? Like I've got like a reasonable experience. Like I never was like made to feel like an outsider. Like, oh, you're Caribbean and we're Nigerian, so we're better than you and stuff like that. Like I was never made to feel like that.
but you see, that's the thing. Like for me, outside the continent, I'm able to really relate like in the UK and here in Canada. I'm able to really relate to those of Caribbean, apart from my African, African friends I have. I'm able to relate to those in the Caribbean because a lot of them are here, and I talk to them. Sometimes I don't even tell them where I'm from in the continent. I just relate to them and we become friends. Then after a long while, they call me and like, Vic, seriously, like we don't know where you're from. I'm like, I tell them I'm Nigerian, and they're like, what? I don't behave. I'm so different. I'm so open-minded. My mentality is so different. The way I see things is different from the average Nigerian, I see things really different. I see things more globally. I'm from the Igbo tribe. For those that think I'm Yoruba, I'm Igbo. So
So am I. My
I grew up.
ancestors are.
Yeah, I grew up in Lagos, Nigeria. So I have a lot of Yoruba culture in me. Shout out to Dynasty. you
Oh,
know, báwo ni? Kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? So for me, I grew up in, I schooled in the north, grew up in Yoruba land. I'm Igbo, schooled in the south and southeast. So I really moved around the country, and I have mates from the same military school I went to, all 36 states, all from different states. So I'm not a tribalistic person. So that same mindset tends to translate to people that I love to meet outside the continent, those in the Caribbean, African Americans, those in even those in South America that claim that they're Spanish, that they're not black but they're Spanish.
Dominican.
and I am Dominican, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm not Negro. And funny enough, the guy has the same woolly hair as me, has the same melanin as me, has the same nose and mouth and everything. But he says no, he's not. He's not nos. He's nunca nunca. He's not. He's he's not us at all, which is terrible. The self hate has to stop. So yeah, like I tell people, like, look, I don't care where you're from. I relate. I talk. I don't. If I, because, and that's the thing. Like, I think that thing, as you said, should be an older generational stuff. And sorry, Boma, I don't condone Nigerian stereotypes. Sorry, I don't
Guys,
understand what you mean.
real quick, we have 350 people watching, only 176 likes. Guys, hit that like button. Stop being stingy with these likes. Hit the like button. All right, go ahead. Shout out
But
to Ya Ankara Anka. Now, Ya is Jamaican. I'm African born in Jamaica, living in the USA. I must say that I've always loved Haitian and other Africans from the continent. One love. Shout out to Ya Ank.
yeah, that's what we need. We need
That brother
to,
follow me for a minute. Shout out to that brother. All right, go ahead.
yeah, Dianas, we need to let these people know that, you can't separate yourself from the continent. You can't hold back anything you have known so bad about the continent. You can't say, "Oh, I'm Jamaican, I'm not African," because I hear a lot of people say that here anyway. Like, people should, you can't stop that history of the fact that your ancestors were taken from the continent. You can't. Like, 95% of people from the Caribbeans, were taken from the west coast of Africa, because that's where we have similar features. If I see a Caribbean, I see myself. There's no difference. We're like the same. I'm like, geez, if they run my DNA and this guy's DNA, there'll be so many click, 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 click. So I don't I don't get it. Like, seriously, how people, this, mental slavery is really strong.
Well, I tell
Is
people this. I swear, every time I go to Togo and Benin, everyone has a twin there in Togo and Benin Republic.
you
Like
know
everyone has a twin in Togo and Benin Republic.
Boma Ekio, you're on the chat. Look, I think differently. We're five fingers. We're not the same. I may have a lot of Nigerian, environmental stuff, but when you start seeing things from the outside, when you move out from your comfort zone and you start seeing things differently, you don't stereotype other people because they're not from the same country like you. Then you have a different mindset. Then you can start to relate to people. You don't just stay with your group, and that's what is killing a lot of people. That mental slavery. For me, this is what my parents would tell me, that go around, mix with people, you know that look like in other parts, try and get to know them and stop. Don't really just stay with just your Nigerian close neighbors. Try and relate to other people, and that's how it's supposed to be. We shouldn't just put ourselves in a box all the time. For the Caribbeans that want to visit the continent, they are free to do so. It's a good, people have, I know it's going to be a very good experience if you come for the first time, and if you can come again and you can finally move like how Mr. Amen Ra did when he moved to Kenya. And since then, the brother doesn't come back to the US again. So people should have the continent in mind. You know, whether you're in the Caribbean, African American, South Americas, in the UK, Europe, anyway, our people, because we know our people are scattered in the four corners of the earth. So our people should always think of the continent because it's going to be there. It's 54 nations, big mass, land size. You can put China, America, Europe, and some other countries in there. So it's not a small continent; it's a big one. Um, it's very, no one is. People shouldn't feel that, oh, if you go to the airport, Boko Haram will catch you.
Right. Right.
People should stop having those because there's no Boko Haram in the airport. So people should wake up. Seriously, they should wake up. I've met some Caribbeans here that they tell me that they have visited the continent once or twice. They've gone to Ghana, gone to Nigeria, gone to Gambia, and the rest. A lot of people from the UK, our brothers and sisters in the UK, also they are now seeing the picture and they're now moving to the Gambia, moving to other places in the continent. That there was a video on one of the YouTube channels I saw, and this sister was from the UK, born and bred, and she told us how she went through a lot of systematic racism in the UK, and now she's back to Africa where her ancestors were taken from, and she loves it there, because every day she wakes up in the morning and sees the sunrise, and she sees people that look like her all the time, and that's enough for her.
What? Let me ask you this, Jay. What are your since we're talking about Black Caribbean perspective on African Americans? What are your thoughts on like the ADOS movement?
I think it's. Oh, sorry, hold on. I've just unplugged my headphones. Hold on. Sorry. Hold on. Sugar. Hello?
Yeah, I'm right here. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. I think it's a good movement for reparations. I don't have enough clarity and information on it, but what I've seen, and again, this is all me personally from my own viewing, is that I've seen it be quite hostile. Now, I've seen people kind of like going at other sort of types of Black people, and then it's like, oh, it's this type of Black person versus that type of Black person, not just on YouTube, but like in different kind of social media spaces, because obviously I'm not going to really run into any African Americans in the UK like you guys like unicorns here, so I can't really like
Right.
say anything that I've heard personally, but from what I've seen, I completely agree, and I'm in full favor of African Americans getting reparations from the United States. Like there's no argument to that. There's nothing that you can say that would be like, actually, maybe they shouldn't for this reason. Like that's what you guys get. That is what you deserve, and there should be no reason for anyone to be against that. Now, for the kind of, I guess, the labeling identity, like ADOS, to me, I just don't agree with it personally. Like the American descendant of slaves, to me, it's more deprecating, I think is the word I want to use.
Mhm.
Like it kind of is a dampener or like a negative rather than something kind of positive, or at least neutral. And that's my gripe with it. That's about it.
What about you, police brutality?
I was me and my mum, we were going on this tirade on the phone. Me and her were going on this tirade because like with the Windrush thing, and my mum was watching this police brutality thing, but like in reverse. So this is like when people beat up the police. They were showing something on TV that she was telling me about, and like we were just basically yelling, screaming about how angry we are. Like when we see things like Eric Garner, what's his name? Alston Sterling, I think, was that his name? Alton Sterling?
Yeah. Alton Sterling, yeah.
Yeah, and like for me, the most traumatic one was Philando Castile, because I can remember like that morning waking up and seeing this video on Facebook of someone bleeding out of their shirt, like literally having his last moments, and how much that really traumatized me. Like it just makes me so angry. I'm so disgusted. Like, and because I can't really do anything about it, like it frustrates me that there's like, I feel like we're powerless in that sense, because we face the same thing here in the UK, obviously not on the same scale, but this just can't continue. Like it just cannot continue. This is too many times that this same thing keeps on happening. And then what happens is, like, when people finally fight back against the police, then everyone wants to demonize Black people. and say, why are you fighting back? You guys should just go with the system, but the system is killing black people. Like, what is the system really doing for us? You'd be an idiot not to defend yourself. So why is it now that
How can you defend yourself? I mean, like literally, like I mean, you can defend yourself, but there's consequences in America.
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, I mean, there's consequences, but like, I think it's ridiculous when you hear non-blacks talking about what black people should be doing, or like people over here. So like, I'll give you an example. When that guy, I think his name is Micah Johnson, had shot down those police officers in Texas.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I woke up that morning, and at the time I was working at a shop, and the manager that I had was from Maryland. I think he said he was training to be a police officer in Baltimore. So I came in to work that morning beaming. I was so happy because I'm listening to the news, hearing about how, what happened with what Michael Johnson did. So I was really happy. I was like, yes, small victory. It hasn't solved the problem, but it's something. And that made me happy. He was pissed that I was happy because I said that basically it's about time. Like, you kill all of us, we take down a few of you, and you guys want to cry and bitch about it, meaning, the American police system, the American state, want to cry and bitch about someone, have snapping basically and sick and tired of it. And he, how white people go red. He was going red and blue and purple and all these different colors, really pissed off. Told the owner's taking me aside, like, hey, you can't say that kind of thing. But there are consequences, but there's consequences to everything. And if you don't fight back, then you just end up going along with it. But the police brutality thing, like, I honestly couldn't tell you a resolution on how to solve it. But all I know is that it needs to stop. And if it has to go back to a situation like the 60s, which I'm guessing it's going to start, going to that kind of place, then so be it. Because I'm not going to be happy to keep turning on my TV or listening to the radio, hearing about how another person who's innocent minding their own business, or they're in a situation which is unnecessarily escalated by a police officer, ends up with somebody being murdered. Because it's not even like brutality, it's murder. People are getting murdered for no reason. Like, there was no reason to kill. Like, over here, you do get people that get killed by the police, but over here, it's like they will just, I don't know, put you in a hold if they don't kill you in that hold, or they'll like hit you with a stick if they don't kill you. But it's not like a shooting. They can't just really like shoot you like that, because police here, general police on the beat don't carry guns.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Whereas obviously in the States, you guys have the police that just carry guns like anybody. Rookie cop just carries a gun and shoots somebody.
Absolutely. Now, police brutality, this is your expertise. You want to add to that?
Yeah, first I will talk about the ADOS and I'll talk about police brutality.
Okay.
The whole a brother was talking about the ADS stuff in his channel. His name is Tyron Rain, and I called into his channel. I told him, like, brother, this is what I think about ADOS.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that African Americans should be paid what they owe. Okay.
All right.
I know that these people won't give it because they have told themselves that they will never, these are people without souls or minds or, sympathy or anything. They have told themselves that they will make it hard. So I told the brother, look, it will have to be a force of hand for them to pay that stuff. And it's not just in America. This is a global thing because slavery and colonialism of our people happened on a global scale. Whether it's in South America, in Europe, in the Americas, in China, they will have to pay people that their parents were taken as slaves and destroyed, whether it was African colonization or anywhere that the colonization happened in the world, or slavery anywhere that happened anywhere in the world. So, and he was saying that the amount he was saying was 17 trillion. I told the brother 17 trillion is small for 400 years and more years of torture of our people in different parts of the globe. Trillion won't even be enough. Like the whole system, the whole dominating system will have to be destroyed for them to pay us. Like, it's not just paying for reparations, it's also counseling and all kinds of stuff. It's also giving of land. It's also paying for those lands that they still hold down in Africa and in other continents and everywhere. The system will have to be wrecked to zero. Like the cracker man, the Caucasian. Okay, let me use Caucasian. Let me not talk cracker here because I'm really getting angry. The Caucasian will have to come down to our level. He will have to lose everything. The system will have to lose everything for our sake. Everything. So it is beyond 17 trillion. I was telling the brother. And I hope the brother get what I said because it's not just for our people in the state, it's for every all of us, all millennial people in the four corners of the earth, everywhere, with everywhere that is in West Papua, whether it's in Australia, whether it's in New Zealand. And we're definitely going to get a reparation, but it's going to be by force. They will the hand that hand will have to be broken. That empire will have to be broken down. There must be a switch. There must be a change of hands. Diners, there will have to be a change of hands. Seriously, it's not just an African American. To me, I'm not saying that's an African American thing. I'm saying that's a global thing. A global stuff has to happen. Then for the police brutality, because I do a channel, people tell me that my channel is too sensitive. That I should stop. I should stop doing it when I start, and I told them to go to hell. So I've done law enforcement in England. I saw how a certain race of people were always attacking a certain race of people.
Mm.
Okay. And how me as a melanated brother, I was always trying to hide our people on the street from a certain race of people all the time. Because those people, there's one thing they have in their mind. Go after the people that don't look like them, give them tickets, shoot them, harass them, apply so much pressure on them, choke them, shoot them, pull out a gun so quick. But you don't do that to a certain other group of people
Of course.
because those people look like you. You take them to McDonald's. You don't shoot them when they go to a church and kill 10 people. You don't call them domestic terrorists. You tell them that you tell the newsreel that, oh, this guy was sick in the head. He has the mental issue card they use all the time. Or the police officer that kills us and say he feared for his life kind of card. He feared for his life. He was resisting. He wasn't complying. Most of us comply, we still get shot. We still get killed. Most of us will just be sitting down the street and the police is just hovering. I have here in Canada, I've walked past a police person, a police woman, and this woman's eyes just fixed on me straight. It's not just policing. These guys have an internal hate for us.
All right.
Okay, so they are the ones wearing the uniform, so they can do. They are the ones that escalate because every day I see videos online of all kinds of police brutalities. I just made a live stream of a couple of one today. Our people causing. These people are just they're just waiting to chop us off. I saw a brother that was stop and searched by police. I was watching the video. Brother was calm, talking to the police officer. Before I could say Jack Robinson, the police officer has pulled out a gun to shoot the brother. The brother was winding up his glass, driving up, and the police guy was hanging on the car. Constantly, it's everywhere. Even in Nigeria, you see SARS beating our people up. You see the police attacking our people all the time, especially in Lagos. It's too much. The riots in Hong Kong, the riots in Indonesia. You see police in Indonesia slapping women, like literally slapping her like two dirty slaps, punching her in the face, chokehold. You know. Then they write then they write a funky statement that, oh, that he was the one that started the fight, whereas the video camera is close showing that it was the police officer that was the aggressor. Constant lying, constant, you know, system just so corrupt, so corrupt. Even in front of the CCTV camera, you have police officers planting drugs on people. in their car, saying that the ones, you know, planting that the ones that have drugs. Why the guy's body cam captured when he put the drug in the car. I see these videos every time, every week, every day. The injust and is an injustice on our people all the time. You see police brutality in Cuba, in the Caribbean, in South America, how these police officers are
Hey, police
constantly killing
brutality.
our people.
Real quick, Angie X. Shout out to Angie X. She said, "What's the solution?"
Like Diners, me and you have talked about how we're going to end police brutality in one of your videos, and we told them the solution. If people could go through that your stream and to that your video and find out, is that for those in the Americas or in the USA, our brothers there, the system is not going to change. The police are still going to do what they are doing. Funny enough, even some of our police officers that look like us have joined in brutalizing our people too. I see a lot of videos of a brother in uniform using a baton or pointing a gun at another brother, saying that he's going to shoot him. I do videos, I do live stream on that too.
Hmm.
So a system that has been set up from the police to the to the courts, it's just fraud, fraud, fraud. I would advise brothers and sisters in the state to just change the environment and move to somewhere in the continent where they can just, you know, relieve themselves from such constant kill all the time. Because when I see those videos every time, here when I here in Canada, I see all those videos online. It's so depressing. Like every week, especially in the states, there is one issue: somebody getting slammed. Yes, and like Emeka was saying that, yeah, Nigerian police do brutalize people, but there's a difference because the police in Nigeria won't shoot you 20 times or 50 times or shoot somebody 74 times. Like that is not policing. That is total wickedness. Where a brother in the state is shot 50 times, 100 times by six police officers at the same time. They're shooting like that's not policing. That's horror. You know. That's why we have police brutality, water, but in the states is like this is how will I put it? This is like it's something totally different. It's even worse than execution. Is worse. Is like these guys don't think.
Hmm.
Imagine when they shoot a dead body 50 times, the officer goes back to his car to reload and shoot again. I'm like, seriously? When the guy's body is all riddled with bullets, you know? Yeah, for like,
Go ahead. Go
okay.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is the solution for our brothers in the States. Please get your passports and move because I just started this channel a few months ago and the amount of videos I see are mostly from the States. It's so disheartening because funny enough, people in Nigeria feel that, oh, the American police are better than the Nigerian police. I'm like, seriously, have you gone through my channel? You see what these guys are doing? They are beating somebody, pepper spraying, shooting the person, choke slamming, gagging, poking into the person's ear, pinning the person down. The person can't breathe. They're always saying you're resisting, you're resisting. How am I resisting when you're almost pressing me to the ground, almost to death? Normal human reaction. I have to react to opposing force, even when I know I didn't do anything wrong at all. So it's so annoying. Like when I see those videos, I'm like, man, our brothers here in the States, they need to just move, man. This is war. It's like
Shout out to the super chat. Jamal Omar says, "Black Americans reparations claims will be against Great Britain and the United States." I can see that. And then somebody else, I can't pronounce your name. He says, "Don't block me. Prove you're African." Okay, all right. Yeah, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. All right. What we'll do, we'll go ahead and close out. My name is Jay. Share your closing thoughts and also share with everybody how they can subscribe to your page, where they can go.
Closing thoughts. We do need to start getting educated about each other in terms of different parts of the diaspora, so that we can at least come together and have an understanding of each other, so we won't have to kind of worry about the perspectives on who thinks what about what. And we need to kind of, I guess, well, I'll say for the Caribbean, we need to iron out our internal issues if we ever think that we're going to be able to ally with our brothers and sisters externally into the different parts of the world, because we have a lot of issues that we need to iron out before we can even think about reaching out. And yeah, my channel is just called My Name is Jade. Yeah, subscribe if you want. I've got some documentaries on my channel in regards to, I've just put one up about Windrush now, and I've got one about police brutality in the UK. And I mean, these are relatively old cases because the documentary is old, but it just kind of gives you an example of the type of brutality that you get in the UK. They might not shoot you, but they will most certainly beat you or choke you or pepper spray you to death. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
And police brutality. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, like I will keep saying, for our Caribbean brothers that have a different mindset about the continent, and I'm speaking for the continent. I haven't done that. This is my first time in doing such. Plan, plan how to come and see things for yourself. Don't allow mainstream media to decide for you. Try and see things for yourself. Don't allow this lamestream Jewish media, yeah, because that's what they are, to that always put crazy things about the continent to sway you from making that move. Because, as I always say, Africa is the last frontier. We should always think about that all the time. And I have a police brutality worldwide channel on YouTube. I put the link on the chat for people to go through, where I talk about police brutality issues, and I show, and most of the stuff always happen that's really viewed online and mostly happen in the States. And this will be my advice for our African American brothers and sisters: get your passports. If you cannot fight, if you cannot take the fire to them in the States when a policeman kills one of your own, my advice is just get a passport and start moving your stuff back to the continent.
Mm. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you go to search for Huru on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. Once again, family, thank you so much. Till next time, Dynasty Mirror, search for Huru. Peace.
Peace.